Cool. Well,
into the game we go. And Liaison, why don't you go ahead and introduce first this time?
alrighty. Well, Frost is our map, and spawning in the top right-hand corner for game number 3 of today's match between KLG and Integrity Gaming, it is the orange Terran player. It's KLG's SenDoh.
Ooh, so good right now. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, our third Zerg player in a row, I believe. Oh, no, the last one was Terran and Protoss. Our second Zerg player of the day, we have Integrity Gaming's Priest. So,
Nicely done.
casting confession, sometimes I say things, and then they are blatantly not true. And then I need to somehow recover from them, and sometimes works better than others.
I'll recover for you. What you were thinking was the fact that we've had a Terran in each one of our games so far today.
That, and I just said, yeah, I meant Terran, not Zerg. Why would I?
Right,
of
right.
course.
It's easy. They start with the same letter, so. But
Yes.
we've got our 12 refinery coming down for SenDoh, and it does look like Priest will once again, similar to the first game. This is the same openers from these two players. What is good here, I would say, for the Terran, is that these two have spawned non-cross, because cross-position Frost for TVZ can be a bit tricky from the Terran perspective at times. So he does have opportunities here to be a little bit more aggressive if he so chooses, and the Zerg is going to have a very hard fourth base to defend. If you look at it, that third base is going to be just around where that Overlord is at the bottom of the map. And the fourth base, he's either going to have to go towards the Terran player, which you really have a feeling is going to want to avoid, or he's going to have to go basically across the map, which, you know, is also very difficult to defend. So the Terran could be in a pretty decent position if this game goes a little bit longer.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice little way to point that out, especially I hate these two bases. Again, these crevasses, if you will, are very devastating, and a lot of airplay can come in there, especially when you're getting up to fourth base. You pretty much have any tech at your disposal if you're on four bases, for too long. But before we get there, we'll talk about the early game just a little bit, with Priest going up, throwing up an early expansion. Both players now know where the other is. And very, very typical things. We'll have to see if any of these players deviate a little bit from, what you would call the norm.
Well, what Priest is doing right now, which is pretty interesting, is he's actually delaying getting gas at the moment in favor of getting out some earlier queens, and leaving the possibility open if he wants to go for a really fast third base. And a drone is going to go down. The SCV helping out the Reaper there. Reaper. Pretty decent micronaut to get surrounded and trying to focus fire down in the red, and the SV actually giving high ground vision, which was kind of cute. But yeah, still no gas taken here. So Priest is just spending all that money into drones and queens to try and really force these Reapers and potential Hellions that could be coming out, which it certainly looks like it's been the norm for a while here for Terran, and it's continuing to be so. Factory and the reactor coming down.
Yep, and it looks like another Zergling dies at the hand of the Reaper. Oh, such a sad day for those poor Zerglings. However, yeah, I mean, besides that, we'll have to see what he's leveraging, and now double gassing, so he's definitely going to go right into that. I thought maybe he'd stay off a little longer and show us something really interesting.
Yeah, well, there's not too much you can do with just minerals, but Priest opting to get 4 queens early on here. There's not a hugely wide choke point here. And there's not a ton of creep needed to be spread between the natural and the main, whereas from the natural over to a third base, there's quite a bit. So getting those queens out earlier helps him not only deter Hellions and Reapers. He might actually get this last Reaper. Looks like it'll just barely escape with 4 health. But these queens are spreading creep early. It'll make it that third base later on in the game much easier to defend. And behind this, we are seeing the starport followed by the tech lab. But there is no second gas being taken here, so I don't think this will be for Cloak Banshee, just because he's not going to have the gas necessary for it.
Yeah, it'll be rather interesting. We did see that he was kind of going 1-1-1-ish, and are those too close? Oh man, those buildings, I don't know why, are like oddly right. I think are they like one? No, they're right next to each other. I don't know. Is that just me? Does that look weird? I thought they were going to, land on top of each other.
No, it's yeah, just barely. And so now the second gas here is going down for SenDoh. He's just getting the straight Banshee, no cloak or anything along those lines. So it's not going to be quite as strong, but this is kind of what I was talking about with that creep spread. Once you get those 4 queens out, the creep will be at this third base by the time it finishes. And these Hellions and 1 Reaper are going to venture on over here to try to pressure it, but there's not much you can do with just 1 Reaper and 4 Hellions. These 2 queens can come over here and pretty much deter this. An Overlord being sacrificed, it will see the Banshee, it will see the factory as well. So knowing exactly what 3 tech buildings are currently out on the map for the Terran player, and Priest is in a pretty decent spot as far as being able to react to what he's seeing, and he is getting the double upgrades that we didn't see from Jim Rising in game number 1.
Yeah, absolutely, and a good distinction to make there between the 2 builds. And I'm wondering if he's now adding on 2 engineering bays. I thought maybe he transitioned to sort of a weird mech, but I wasn't quite sure. Oh, yes. Sorry, I had that on screen. The Hellions just roasting some drones. Now 15 killed, actually. And, oh, they do sneak by into the main. Liaison, not the best situation.
No, this is a really rough spot. These Hellions worth their weight in gold. When all is said and done, 25 workers, it looks like, will have gone down. Will he get a 26th? No, just barely missing that. So suddenly, the Zerg player, who honestly I thought was in a wonderful position, had this wall pretty much complete. You just need to put 1 queen there to fill that choke, and it just didn't happen there for Priest. And more workers going down now, 3 more falling to that Banshee, and suddenly it's SenDoh, who is in an awesome position, and he is in a perfect spot to have gotten those engineering bays and those upgrades and his third base before the additional barracks, because what pressure can Priest put on right now? He's got 36 drones.
Yeah, and even lesser than that, he's got 8 army supplies. So even if he went all in right here, he's got, it appears that all of those are queens. He's got 4 queens, so he has no actual real units on the map, and this is a little bit troubling for him, as now he's still behind in workers, almost 30 workers killed, and that's going to give you a nice boost there if you're SenDoh. He's got to be feeling really good, but, at the same time, you can't just go on autopilot. That's how you end up losing games, and holy barracks, Batman, I think we're going up to that 7 that we saw earlier.
And that's, again, kind of the magic number here for the Terran player. Should be starting his armory momentarily to get his upgrades going once 1-1 finishes. A little pro tip, I guess you could say, if you're a Terran player, to sync your upgrades from 1-1 to 2-2 perfectly. Start your armory when your upgrades are halfway done on the engineering bays, and it'll finish just as the upgrades do, so you can go right into 2-2 without a break. Whereas, well, the Zerg player's already got 1-1, starting 2-2 already, so that's nice for him. He'll have 2-2 before his opponent does, but he's going to have to still drone for a while. He's only at 51 drones right now, and when you factor in those 29 that have been killed so far, he could have been in such a good position here, Danny.
Oh, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head, especially that third base has been, up and running, and it wasn't really contested, except for, sadly, just, all the drones dying, but he's certainly spending lots and lots of larvae on drones, 15 of them about to pop out, so he will finally regain that harvester lead that you so desperately need as Zerg, and he's getting all kinds of upgrades, so he's kind of doing the right thing. One of those problems is if you lose something big, like, a big chunk out of your economy, if you try to just still do the same sort of thing, like, okay, let me recover my economy while getting the tech that I wanted and try to keep the timings, you just don't do anything well. And so he chose to go pure economy and wasn't punished for it. So he can kind of catch back up a little bit in that way, because he teched really heavily and his economy, and luckily the army just wasn't even a factor.
Well, he's got, if he did have a chance, this was kind of the way it had to go for him. But if you look at the money that SenDoh has kind of banked up here, slipping a touch on his macro, not producing out of all of his barracks, but once you get these barracks going with their production, his supply is going to continue to skyrocket. He's already got a 30 supply advantage, and you see Priest trying to take that distant 4th base that I was talking about, and if SenDoh even catches a whiff of that with a drop or anything, just 1 medevac drop should be able to clean that up, or it'll force a reaction that will leave another base quite vulnerable here. So I still think SenDoh is in a really good position, especially if he begins to really crank out units out of all of these barracks and just kind of tidy up his macro just a touch. He'll just continue to to be in a really good position, and he'll be able to engage cost efficiently against these banelings.
Yeah, absolutely. I did not want to make it sound like it swung into Priest's favor by any means, of course.
Right.
I mean, SenDoh, it's kind of his game to lose for sure, but, I mean, Priest is getting what he needs. This is how you recover in a game like this. Like, he's got, the banelings. Oh, that's not how you do it. Oh, but a good surround coming down. Decent baneling hits, and not a bad engagement. I mean, losing the mutas maybe evens that out a little more than he wanted, but the army supply is still a little bit rough.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those engagements that, like, at this point, SenDoh can kind of even afford to trade a little bit cost inefficiently. And, getting those 2 mutas, I think, made that engagement pretty even as far as the cost efficiency of it. So he's still in a really good spot. The army is huge for him. He's got a lot of Widow Mines, 7 with this army. And he's just marching forward. There aren't a lot of mutas on the map, and this is kind of where being behind early on limits the muta count. Only 13 at this stage in the game. Not enough to really go into the main base with. And again, just kind of marching out onto the creep quite boldly and quite comfortably here, just because he feels like he really has that lead. And here come the banelings trying to come on forward. Really good Widow Mine shots. Only 1 Widow Mine falls. All of the banelings end up going down, and well, more and more links in the production tab, and the supply is starting to even up a little bit, but well, at the end of the day, there's going to be a big engagement here that I don't think Priest wants, and there's actually not a lot of the Terran army here. If you look back at his main base, a lot of it's in his main base, and he's forcing all of this attention here from Priest with really just what's a small portion of his army.
Yeah, absolutely, and this is one of those things, Priest, I mean, if he wants to come back, he's really got to kind of do some of those all-or-nothing moves, and, a big run forward, and, Widow Mines.
Huge Widow Mine hits.
I was just going to say, what I would have loved to see is maybe something like Burrowed Banelings, because they're a little bit, big risk, big reward, but the nice thing is, if you hit, they can absolutely bring you back, and you have to have something that's going to be, that home run that you need just to even things up. Because right now, it's looking a little bit rough, and we'll have to see what Priest can do here, but it's not looking great for him as this Terran army is now boldly going in.
Yeah, this is going to be the engagement. He can find a way here to kill all of this off. He's got a lot of it down. The supply is still in favor for the Terran. Now it's actually evened up, but a lot of that is in workers, up to 85 drones now. But here come the banelings crashing in on creep. This is what we were talking about. Has SenDoh overextended here? These medevacs suddenly vulnerable. There are a couple of Widow Mines still left here, but the mutas are still alive. 15 mutas. He's lost 3 of them in the game right now, but he's looking at the units lost tab. There have been 93 Marines killed and 13 Widow Mines killed. So those are, that's not negligible here. And if SenDoh continues to overextend, he is just now landing his 4th base, whereas we've seen the 4th base obviously mining for Priest for quite some time undisturbed. And he's got 3-3 on the way. 3-3 will finish well before the Terran, who hasn't even started his yet. Yeah,
and I think he starts to suspect something up. A Marine just now is going to find that 4th base and be like, oh no, that's been here for a while, and that's a huge problem. Oh no, the mutas, all of them going over those Widow Mines, and all of them orange. Oh, those Marines were hot on the trail, but just not able to pull it off. So Priest doing a really nice job here, doing what he has to scratch and crawl his way back into this, now taking a decently sizable supply lead.
Yeah, and the muta's coming in, distracting these Marines, but has he lost too many of them there? The Lings coming forward, streaming on forward, Banelings rolling in as well, and the medevacs, well, lift off all these Marines, and they can possibly get picked off here after the Ignite Afterburners, but they will end up getting away scot-free here. But I think we've got ourselves not only a game here now, but once 3-3 finishes, once the Adrenal Glands upgrades finish, once +2 weapons finishes for these mutas, I think we could actually see Priest in a really awesome position here if he doesn't keep flying his stupid mutas over these Widow Mines.
Absolutely. Mutas are not the most intelligent of creatures, but we will have to see, and it all depends. These Widow Mines can do so much damage if they're not able to be picked off in time, but he's doing a pretty good job, and it's all going to depend on the splits. Priest has been very, very favorable in these exact kind of engagements, which has brought him back entirely into this game. He really did what he had to, sat back, got that economy, and now it's kind of go time for him. He's got to feel pretty good. SenDoh's going to go ahead and load up a medevac, surely to send it down either to the 4th or to scout the newly planted 5th that just went down. Somehow, Priest just has Lings running directly underneath it and sees it. Who knows?
Well, he's hoping to go for a Ling run by over to that 4th base, which is where he's headed, and it actually forces a huge reaction from SenDoh, and sacrificing these Lings is actually exactly what he wants to do. He's got this Ultraless Cavern finishing up, and he's going to want to put a lot of that supply into those Ultras. This base should get canceled here by Priest. A nice play from SenDoh, but these Lings are wreaking havoc in the mineral line here. At this stage in the game, SenDoh may actually have had too many workers anyway, so being able to, and that base actually just falls in the bottom left, so a little bit sloppy, but having 58 SCVs is perfectly fine because of mules and because you really just want your army to be bigger here from the Terran perspective. But only 2 Ultras in the production tab. Honestly, I still think he should sacrifice some Lings for the cause for the Ultras. And well, he's getting the chitinous plating, and once those Ultras pop, it may start to, again, just kind of be go time here for Priest, who has evened this game up wonderfully.
Yeah, and he's got a little bit of a window here before 3-3 finishes up, where he's got a 2 upgrade advantage, 1 in armor, 1 in weapons, and he's kind of coming in from an interesting angle here from behind. Oh, the Widow Mines crash in. Oh, they crash in hard. Oh, and a great cleanup across the board. Look at how much Priest has left. A fantastic engagement again from him, and he is showing that he absolutely refuses to be outplayed in this game despite being down early. And oh man, with those Ultras coming out, Liaison, I think you were onto something when you said it might just be go time as soon as he gets a decent number of Ultras.
Yeah, those Ultras will pop out just as chitinous plating finishes, and even losing a couple mutas. Still a little bit sloppy with those mutas over the course of this game, but it's not a huge deal when you've got what he has now. 3-3 still not done. It's 2 seconds away. The engagement is starting. Now it's finished. Fighting on even upgrades is SenDoh, desperately trying to salvage something from this game, probably thinking to himself, how in the world did I let this one possibly get away from me, running these Marines back. The Widow Mines do go off, get some pretty good hits on those Banelings, but these Marines just have to keep running, and splitting, and, well, they're just going to tickle these Ultralisks. Not a lot that these Marines can do against Ultras, and, well, it's 184 supply to 30, and once these units pop out here, the Ultras will be able to run back, and, well, there are still 16 mutas. He's still making mutas behind this, but really not a lot of Marauders with this army. Just 1 on the field right now, and he's only producing 1 at a time. He's just now adding barracks and tech labs onto a few of his other barracks. He's got all reactors right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are absolutely excellent points, as we do see finally flyer attacks coming in. +3 flyer attacks. 2 more bases going down for Zerg. Another drop en route to try to get that, and we'll have to see if that's shut down. He certainly won't get both bases, but that one base is now finished, so he needs to react pretty quickly. He's in decent position, oddly enough. If he does see it come in, we'll have to see. I'm not sure if he can actually save that base. +3 Marines are pretty good, and he's just going to go ahead and clean up drones.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to matter, to tell you the truth. The brunt of the Zerg army is marching on forward towards the 4th base of the Terran player, which is much more valuable here. The 5th, over by the, I guess, more conventional 4th, is a planetary fortress, which will be more difficult to defend, but these SCVs are suddenly on the run here. He's all the way up to 72 SCVs, so he didn't stop producing them, and again, killing these off, not the worst thing in the world from SenDoh's perspective, but is this Zerg army just too big? It's 120 supply to 94 supply, and well, there are starting to be a lot more Marauders on the map, which will make this engagement a lot better. All the Widow Mines going off on all the Banelings, lots of great hits going off from those Widow Mines. Only 4 Banelings remain here, and they get cleaned up by the last Widow Mine shot, and suddenly Priest is headed for the hills, running back from the direction which he came, and running more Banelings in to basically save the Ultras. And well, these mutas could pick off this orbital, but it seems like the bio is headed back over there, and it seems like both players just a little bit over-eager here, engaging into less than ideal positions. And oh, the mutas again, more and more of them falling. 31 mutas have died in this game, and if this game ends up falling from Priest's grasp, I think that's going to be the key that we're going to end up having to look at.
Yeah, absolutely. And the secret here, I think, is just wrecked mutas. So many of them. I think the key has just been adding in these Marauders. Look at the position of the Marauders. All of them out front. Perfect position. He's going to take all the Baneling shots there. Baneling's now trying to get in, but the Marines just tear him down too quickly. And KLG SenDoh all of a sudden has flipped this the other way.
Yeah, SenDoh has done it, and the answer, I mean, I'm a broken record, so just break me in half, I guess. But mutas, 50 mutalisks lost in this game. 50. That's 5,000 gas spent just on mutas, and there are none on the map right now. He's built 50, and he lost all 50 of them. And now this bio army's marching in, and SenDoh's done it. He had a huge advantage. He lost it. And then I think he's gotten it right back. He's even with those great Baneling hits. He's up 81 army supply to 39. He's got units streaming across the map, and nothing but Lings really here for the Zerg player. So Transfuse goes down on that Ultra, which is a nice little play. But man, this game is so back and forth. Both players, like, they've got the game, and then they just engage poorly, and it goes back towards the other player. But I think SenDoh has got it here. But Priest does have those mining bases in the bottom left.
Yeah, and he's got, let me check. I was going to say 3 real functional bases here. I was checking just to double check to see if he had a 4th, but who Nelly? Oh, Liaison, we got a battle here. This is one of those games where whoever loses this game is going to feel awful because one player kind of had it, let it slip away, and then kind of had it again, and who knows where it'll end. And the other player could say the exact same thing. Both these players so close.
And he's still building mutas here, which I think is just a little bit comical at this point. He's got 1 on the map. He's got 6 more on the way, so you have 7 total. This base is getting dropped in the bottom left-hand corner. And, you know, those are really nice plays here from SenDoh, who, again, is continuing macro really nicely, dropping all the mules up in his top left expansion. As you can see them expiring over there, but he's back maxed, and the Zerg player has no bank. He's got 4 ultras coming out, and I really think that you know, he had it, he lost it, he had it again, he almost lost it, but I think he still has a slight advantage in this game just because of the army composition he's gotten. Credit him for continuing to build Widow Mines. He's made it really difficult for Priest to engage into him because he's continued this steady stream of Widow Mine production. I mean, we talked about the 50 mutas lost. There have been 48 Widow Mines that have been killed in this game, so that's not you know, a small number either. So big drop though going down in the main base.
Yeah, and he's actually kind of resetting the tech tree, so oh no, down goes. Oh, potentially. Oh, the ultras pop. Whoa, all of a sudden I was like, oh, well, the spawning pool is dead. Nope.
Those ultras are the MVPs, man.
Oh man, it's like do you remember when they were going to have that burrowing charge upgrade that they were going to put in? Where they burrow underneath the ground, charge forward, and pop up? That's what it seemed like to me.
Oh, jeez.
There's like one guy in chat who's like, I totally know what he's talking about. You're welcome,
he's like
that one guy.
That they didn't implement it.
Oh yeah, everyone was. I remember watching the video at MLG Anaheim when they revealed it, and it was so cool. It was like, oh no, they're going to be so good. But yeah, he's actually done a good job. I thought he was going to totally reset the tech tree between the spawning pool. He did get the infestation pit. Thought maybe he'd target down the hive, but now these drops are kind of picking him apart as a drop on the left side of the map is going down, and back and forth we go. And I mean, the army supply is actually kind of evened up a little bit, but, you know, when you look at the supply tab, I mean, 28 Banelings are good, 7 Ultras is great, those 14 Mutalisks, if he doesn't let any of them go, that's, you know, okay, but those 12 Marauders are, as we saw last engagement, they are a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, the Marauders not only eating the Baneling shots, but obviously also they do so much damage to those ultras. They're pretty much the main force in the Zerg army, or in the Terran army, to deal with those ultralisks. So
holy SCVs, Batman. Oh, sorry to cut you off there a little bit, but that was like 30 SCVs, and they repaired that thing instantly.
Yeah,
and
you can't really kill off any building being repaired by that many SCVs. So
yeah, another 2 mutas went down during that, by the way. Got skimmed right off the side. So sticking with your theme.
Yeah, it's tough, and more mutas falling here, focusing down the mutalisks and the hatchery. So 54 mutas total have been killed. That's a record in any game I've watched, Danny. I don't know about you, but just craziness.
Oh, we saw some crazy things. Kaos and I believe, casted a while back. There was a potential all kill. I believe it was an MLG, and he averaged across, I think, 4 different games, 75 workers killed. It was absurd.
Well, we're up in that direction here. There's 74 drones have died, 75 now, and 45 SCVs. So we have certainly reached that plateau as well. But supply counts still remain relatively equal. And although Priest has lost some drones over the course of these drops and these harasses, and they've also simultaneously allowed SenDoh to basically take almost the rest of his half of the map here. But notice how, yeah, there's that scan going down from SenDoh onto what could have been the 4th base for Priest, and he knows, he's like, he still hasn't taken that base, and that was that base that I was talking about. That's almost a lost base from a Zerg perspective on this map because of how close it is to the Terran army.
Yeah, and, you know, if you're looking at, you know, half the map belonging to either player, Terran's actually in a much better position in terms of just resources still on the map, and he's also got a massive bank. I mean, there's an additional 12,000 loss. Ooh, and another spawning pool potentially going down. There was one, but no, that all gets cleaned up. And both these players now, a big Terran force moving down to kind of spearhead right into this massive Zerg force, and this is where micro gods are made.
Yeah, he's daring Priest to engage into this. I think that Priest would be wise not to, because this is just absolutely dangerous. But these drops, there are spore crawlers finally here, should kill off, well, force the medevac to basically only drop off half of the units, and Ultra comes over with a couple of banelings to try and deal with this, but that allows these Widow Mines to march on forward, and of course with the banelings will roll in and actually get some decent shots here, but again, just everything instantly remaxed here for the Terran. He's got that huge bank, as you mentioned. He's got, well, not only 9 barracks actually on the map, which is a little bit low, you would think. 9 barracks, 2 factories, and a starport. You'd think he would flush that out a little bit with all the bases he has, but he is able to instantly remax regardless.
Yeah, look at these Marines chasing these over so far. If he had any sort of banelings there, that could be devastating because they are pretty well grouped up. There are some additional ones here, and all of these will be cleaned up. Yes, absolutely. But we'll lose a couple of mutas. And meanwhile, this force is kind of left naked, and Priest says, all right, let me jump on that, and is able to clean up that middle. But another drop going down on this, oh god, I don't even know what number, the 7th and 8th base, we'll say, of the Zerg. And
I think you nailed it.
Did I?
Yeah, I think it was the 7th.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, because he didn't take the other 4th. Oh, so close. Well, we'll pretend that I was correct, because at this point, who's counting?
Nobody is the answer. This is a wild, wild game here. Again, 59 total mutas have died, but if you really want to get into the numbers, it's Shift L, by the way, as the units lost hockey. It's 381 Marines, 28 medevacs, 61 Widow Mines, 563 Zerglings. Just crazy, crazy numbers of units lost here in this game, and I guess this is what StarCraft's all about, right?
Yeah, right there. Get into the number. Yeah, 61 Widow Mines. That's just ridiculous. And both these players now Mutalisk harass going down, kind of trading blows, if you will, back and forth. And no Spore Crawler here. That's a little bit rough for him. If Spine Crawlers to complement those would be great. SenDoh again, like, oh well, I guess I'll just go to this one of your 12 bases. So. Oh, one Mutalisk might get picked off there. No, his buddies join up. Oh, but he will die tragically.
You know, like, all of this being said, I think that SenDoh has put himself in a really solid position, and we talked about that a little bit earlier, but if you look at the Zerg players starting to mine out in the very most bottom left base, because of the long distance mining he was doing, because the base just north of that had to be, was killed several times, but he's got a lot of bases on his side of the map that are just starting to be touched on the top left. He's killing off this hatchery, really, really nicely done there, with the Zerg army kind of running one step behind, it seems, and yeah, I just think that with all these drops, he's got his opponent down to 44 drones. He has no gas right now in his bank. He's got 2,000 minerals, but only 84 gas, and unable to mine from that base that was just killed. Not mining from the base just southwest of that. So SenDoh's got the bank. He's got the units right now, and well, he's forced this engagement that's coming in here from Priest, running his units back. The Widow Mine's getting good shots off. The Banelings actually get a couple hits off onto the Marauders, and all these Marines are left, and well, down go a couple Ultras. It's 177 supply to 139. The Muta's running forward, and the Marines actually run away. A little bit awkward there, but Yeah, that's kind of what I was talking about. It's really difficult here for Priest to actually engage into this.
Yeah, I mean, oh, it's so rough for him back and forth there, and I thought he might try to force that engagement because a lot of these Marines are still far in the orange because he kind of had to overstim a little bit. I think that's why he chose to chase him down, because he thought maybe if I can keep pushing, you know, I'll get one really, really good engagement where you're really low on health, and then I'm only fighting half of your near maxed out army. But now SenDoh's going to come in and says, you know what, enough of your hive, enough of your tech structures. Let me go ahead and take everything out here. But if you look, he just doesn't quite have the medevacs to heal everything up. Oh, but it doesn't look like the Zerg's going to pull back at all. He's just going to do his own thing. And is this base trading at this point?
It can be, but again, just reinforcing completely with Lings here because of how low the gas count is for the Zerg player. And really just sending back part of his army. There's really only Ultras, a handful of Banelings, and some Mutas left over here. And these Marines and Marauders, if controlled well with a couple medevacs for support, should be more than enough to deal with this, while the rest of this base is just ravaged here by SenDoh. And suddenly I think Priest is in, well, I mean, he's not out of it, but again, he's a little bit, he's starting to, you know, his hand is starting to be forced. He's going to have to start taking engagements that he doesn't necessarily want to take.
Yeah, it should be really interesting. Oh, and this poor Ultralisk is spawning in the wrong base. But now, I mean, a big supply block going down. So now Priest, before he even attempts to get back, he has to make a huge investment. But if everything goes well, I mean, he's got his army split. If you were to, say, for example, take out the medevacs or take out the other half of the army, I think this is very winnable for Priest, oddly enough, because of potentially the spacers. Oh no, and now half the army is completely separated. If these mutas come down and take out the medevacs, it could be so bad for SenDoh. And we're going to have to watch this, and it's going to be close. And no, he just throws away so many mutas. Oh, so rough there. And he's, oh, I thought he might fly over more Widow Mines, but not quite. And this top army needs to be so careful with these mutas looming. If he loses these medevacs, it's going to be devastating.
Yeah, the Baneling's getting really good shots off. The medevacs do fall. The bases in the bottom left starting to fall now for Priest as well. SenDoh, all of his mining bases have basically been killed, but he's got this massive bank that we talked about. So he can basically use these 5,000 minerals and 3,400 gas and rebuild an army. It'll be kind of like his last army. Maybe he'll even be able to rebuild it one more time. But, you know, so Priest did reset kind of the mining. If you look at it, I mean, SenDoh is completely mined out of every base pretty much that he has, except for the Planetary Fortress, has just like 4 or 5 patches that are just barely still able to be mined from. But he's got a pretty big army supply advantage. He's only got 13 SCVs on the map, and again, that huge bank. He can remax here, and he'll have like 180 army supply. That's insane to be able to basically just engage this army. And I don't know, man. I think that if he just remaxes here just calmly, I don't even know if he needs to take that base in the top left, but if he just remaxes with 180 army supply and maxed out upgrades on these units, like what can Priest really do here?
I think you are pretty much correct there. I mean, Priest is obviously going to try. If he can take more good engagements, certainly he can do it. And I thought maybe his advantage was going to lie when he took out all those medevacs, because this Terran army without medevacs is not a very good army at all, because stim becomes so unbelievably painful. But, man, it's going to go back and forth here. I mean, I think I agree that SenDoh should have this again, but with the swings in this game, anyone's guess.
Yeah, I think we'd be foolish to start calling anything at this point based on how this has gone. But it looks like Priest does want the engagement here. The Banelings roll in, half the army stimmed, now the other half stimmed, and, well, the Banelings connect mostly on Marauders. The Marines focus him down really nicely. It's 107 supply to 113, though, and more Lings in the production tab. Where's all this gas come from? I guess he's finally mining from these bottom left bases, all that gas, and he's able to replenish with all these Banelings, all of these Zerglings. And, I mean, Danny, I'm like about to just give up trying to say who has an advantage at any point in this game, because both players, it's just so back and forth. It's like, you know, one guy has an advantage, then the other guy gets it, and here comes another engagement here. The Marines come back, and, well, the Ultras eat a couple Marauder shots. A couple of them do fall, but I mean, they're just deadlocked here in this game. It's just wild, and that bank is starting to deplete here for SenDoh. It's something to be careful of.
Yeah, Priest is also pretty far down as well. I mean, I think at this point we just have to start speaking in total generalities and saying that one of these two players has a clear advantage. I don't know which one it is, and it changes on a minute-by-minute basis, but one of them does. So we'll have to see.
I mean, an interesting question in the chat just now from Penguin723, and he'll see this in 2 minutes, obviously, but he asked why SenDoh was so rich. And, well, aside from mules, which is one of the solutions offered up, he still only has 9 barracks on the map. So, I mean, when you've got this many bases, you can produce off of like 15, 16 barracks at once and really remax much faster than your opponent. And SenDoh just didn't do that. He stayed on basically 3 base structures as far as production facilities, and if he loses the game, that might be where we look. On the other side, obviously, it was the sloppiness with the mutas, 70 mutas killed in this game, and yada, yada, yada. But SenDoh not quite flushing out his production could be a big factor in this game as well.
Yeah, and also one of the reasons that gas number gets so high is currently in his entire army, he just went over 1,100 gas. So, I mean, that 2,000, if that goes up to 2,200, you know, he's got enough for 2 more full rounds of everything he has. He just simply doesn't need it. And another big Widowmine shot. I want to just see the number of damage that has gone down in this game. That would make me so happy. Just damage number.
Yeah, well, it seems like neither player really wants to engage on the other's terms, and, well, rightfully so. 2 Widowmines go off. Not great shots gone off here, but the army comes around from the left side here for SenDoh. Ultras come in, they get taken down relatively quickly here by the Marauders that eat again a lot of these Baneling shots, but then it's just Marines against Ultras, which is great for those Ultralisks, and they'll trade very cost efficiently. The Marines end up melting, but the few Marauders that remain will help, and now it's Lings coming in. Widowmines get off some pretty decent shots there, and the Marines getting healed up. Well, Lings going down, and, well, again, the production tab pretty full here for both players, but has SenDoh finally taken the advantage there, able to kite around those Ultras, take them down with those Marauders that survived the Baneling blasts, which has really been Priest's method for attack throughout this game, is actually kill off the Marauders with the Banelings so that the Ultras can then come in for the Marines. A little bit counterintuitive, but he made it work so far, and it looks like SenDoh is now knocking on the door here, killing off these mining bases, and that's really the focal point of what he needs to be doing right now.
Yeah, I think he absolutely has the advantage, and at this point, I'm going to go ahead and call it is certainly his to lose, as his army is triple the size, and you never want that to be, and more Widowmine shots go off. And, I mean, he's just got to build pretty much just Marines, because Priest just doesn't have enough to build Ultras, and that's just a major problem for him. Baneling's trying to squeeze in, able to connect decently, but I really think if he just...
the line of orange across the map as well, and when that arrives and kind of centralizes together, these 5 mutas are not going to be able to do much. And yeah, I think that we may finally 53 and a half short minutes into this game. It didn't feel like that, to tell you the truth, Danny. It was really back and forth. Wasn't one of those long kind of like, why are they still playing kind of games. GG.